Hey guys, Matt Kleinstiver here. I have been meaning for a long time to make a video talking about the various SAT tests out there because I've been an SAT tutor for the last, 14, 15 years. And I'm also an SAT content creator and I write SAT practice tests for a lot of companies. So with the digital SAT coming out, a lot of students have been wondering, well, what's the highest quality practice material I can get my hands on? And of course, the answer is the official test itself, right? Companies typically are not going to be at the same level or even near the level of the official test. And I'm going to show you why in this video. One thing that you may be surprised to learn is the College Board spends about $1 million, at least that was how much they spent per paper-based test. I don't know what the exact figures are on the digital test, but they spent a lot of money making these tests, a lot more than any of these companies, even the big ones like the Princeton Review, will ever spend. And they need to do that for a lot of reasons. They actually make sure that every question is unbiased, doesn't have any racial or gender biases, for example. And so they test it out in a lot of different experimental settings. They have professional statisticians and psychometricians who are really good at making that perfect test. Now, because there are only 4 official digital tests, a lot of students are looking for other resources. So let's just go ahead and look at those resources, and I'll give you my review of them as somebody who knows, honestly, more than I wish I knew about this test. So the first thing that we're going to look at is from the A1 Institute. They have created a digital SAT practice test. Now, I'll tell you, I've done this test before, and I will say that their interface is really good. Okay, so I am really impressed with the interface. It's a really great match for the College Board's real exams. Let's take a look, though, at the questions. So I'm just getting started here. And as you can see, this interface is great. Lets you do everything that you can do in the real test, I believe. I can even get let me try my annotations. I think that even works, right? Because annotation is actually surprisingly important. Yeah, really nice annotation because I'm often highlighting the transition words and stuff like that. So here, okay, positive social process. Economists, however, offer a less favorable view. Yeah, that looks like a pretty good question, honestly, but I think that's fine. Now, this is awkward. Okay, this question does not actually meet the College Board standard for a couple of reasons. The SAT rarely describes meat. I've noticed that's one thing. I mean, I know that seems small, but and this actually kind of portrays a scene of poverty in a way that the SAT would never directly describe, right? Okay, but it's not terrible. The word choice here is fine. Unsavory would be our answer. Government-issued rations. I see that they're trying to do the whole Native American thing. The SAT is trying to be more diverse. It's not a horrible question. I would kind of give it 50%. All right. Let's kind of move along. Or before we can label any market outcome as immoral or sneer at economist. Sneer at seems a little bit casual. I think that's supposed to be the answer here, right? Maybe comment on, but this seems a little bit strong to be an answer choice. So those are just the little things I'm noticing, right? That's like casual and kind of like strong for the SAT. All right. Let's just kind of bounce around. Main purpose, sure. I mean, structurally, this test actually looks pretty good because we would expect to see a main purpose question around question 4 or 5 in the test. This question is hilarious to me because this question is actually just stolen. What I mean by stolen, they actually stole this from a paper-based SAT. And so, yeah, take that as you will. This is in like SAT practice test 8. They just copied and pasted it over, grabbed one question. So that's a little bit concerning because, yeah, it's not their own material. College Board could probably sue them for this. Let's look at this. Now, these are fake names, right? Sarah Smith, David Green. So these are not real studies. So that's kind of an issue, right? College Board always uses like real studies. So this is just something some content writer invented. Question itself isn't terrible, but that's one way that it deviates from the test. I'm not even going to kind of get into the questions. We'll just keep bouncing around. Again, do we think John Smith really wrote this? No. And in fact, I wonder where this actually comes from. I think this is also stolen from a paper-based test. Let me just Google that. My emotions are complicated and not easily describable. I think that's actually from another paper-based test. They've just stolen it. I'm not seeing it. I swear that that's from this. They basically taken this from the balloon. I think it's the balloonist, maybe SAT passage. Let's see if we can pull that up. Yeah, it's SAT practice test 4. Let's just grab that. So, and see if we can look at the beginning of that and see if they just stolen this as well. Yeah, there we go. My emotions are complicated and not readily verifiable. And what do they say? Not easily describable. I feel, yeah, so they've just basically rewritten the first paragraph there. That's lazy. And I wonder if they've just stolen the question as well from this paper-based test. What do they say? It reveals the length and time the narrator has spent. Yeah. Yeah, so they've just stolen this question 4. I don't know if I can copy and paste, or maybe we can look at these side by side so you guys can see how funny and silly this is. So yeah, look at that. What was it? Questions 4? Yeah, they just stole it, right? Demonstrates, reveals the length of time, emphasize the length of time, narrator's confidence in the outcome of the journey. Okay, they've kind of changed it, right, around a little bit. I think the correct answer is the same. Yeah, like this is like, I think this might be the correct answer. Actually, the correct answer is C, if I remember correctly. So did they even get that in? For months, I've been preparing for this moment. Okay, so they've actually, for years, let's see, for years, has worked in secret. Yeah, so the essay, if you see here, this actually is a really good example of how these companies have no idea what they're doing. Because the real question, so they've stolen this, right? It's for months, they've changed it to for years. I'm preparing for this moment. Look at how much richer the original text is than what this company has done, right? And look at how much subtler the correct answer is on the real test, which gets into the idea that, you know, here we see that that there's this kind of secret destiny working in the background. And then meanwhile, what they've highlighted is just this idea of like a length of time, right? Which is this is a lot more basic. This is like kind of childish compared to the real question and answer choices that are just so much more subtle and richer. Yeah, and you can just see, that the language here is just so much richer. All right, let's keep moving along. And I just want to show you guys some other issues. This is also stolen from a paper-based test, and they've just kind of adapted to the digital format. Again, College Board is not doing that. They're creating a real test, also stolen from the paper-based test here in 10. This is SAT practice test 1, if I'm not mistaken, which is not even a good test to be using at this point. And I could talk about why, but that's probably for another day. Stolen from SAT. John, a scientist named John, really? I mean, that's just like, the College Board's never going to refer to somebody just by their first name. That's wildly inappropriate. And I'm not even going to get into the answer choices. So, okay, this is stolen directly from the College Board. I mean, College Board really has a lawsuit on their hands here because so much of this stuff is just directly stolen. And yeah, I'm not going to be the guy to reach out and do that, but these folks are in trouble if the College Board finds them. Tom Peacock, this is a made-up name, but they've stolen the rest of this. They've stolen the chart directly from SAT Practice Test 5. This is kind of like, it's become a game for me to think, can I remember which test some of these charts and graphics are from? This is stolen from a writing test, from a paper-based test, so a lot of stolen material here that they've just basically put into a digital format. This is a joke of a question in my mind for a couple of reasons. This is taken from, again, from digital SAT, or from paper-based SAT rather. The SAT, the digital SAT will never ask you a logical reasoning question about a personal narrative, right? The logical reasoning questions are based on things like social science, and scientific studies, archaeological expeditions, not like, oh, I left my office and I therefore know, right? That's not the kind of skill that you need to have. So silly. This is stolen from a paper-based test. It's not a bad question in a way. In fact, it's a good question because it was, and it actually even works in the digital format. So stolen, but actually appropriate. So stolen. I think stolen. I'm not sure. Stolen. So you better off just this is basically, they had their content team go through, and this is stolen too. The content team go through paper-based tests with just a few rare exceptions where they're talking about John Smith and whatever, and convert them into a digital format. And so just be aware what you're getting when you're dealing with this test, because that's what you're getting. And, you may as well just go through. I mean, in a lot of cases, they actually have selected questions that are possibly relevant to the digital test, but just be aware that's what's happening. This is stolen as well. Stolen. This is new, right? And of course, it would have to be new because, this type of question was not featured on the digital test, or was not featured on paper-based rather. So this is actually original. Doesn't look like a horrible question. I don't want to waste my pretty little brain delving into it too deeply. So that gives you an idea what's going on, and we can go into the next section and probably see the exact same thing. Yeah, like this. I'm wondering if this is stolen too. Kind of an interesting question. I'm just going to Google a phrase and see what we get. But you guys, I think, overall are getting the point. I don't know if this is stolen or not. It's not terrible as a question. So this is a terrible question, actually, and it is stolen. And I'll talk about why. So this is stolen from a paper-based writing section. And the paper-based test was testing you on what's called diction, right? So they'd have these very similar words that had different kind of connotations and denotations, like swear and promise and vow, right? As the digital SAT doesn't really do this, and the words are much wider, kind of in the semantic gap between them, if you will. So yeah, not a good practice question for digital SAT. All right, I think I'm done trashing these folks. I'm waiting for the lawsuit to come from. This is also stolen from the College Board. And yeah, if the College Board's lawyers are watching, actually they did do this poetry stuff themselves, because we know that the paper-based test never had poetry. So they probably 10% of these questions are original. All right, I'm all done trashing the A1 Institute. I will say great interface, incredible interface, really, but your tests are stolen and not that good. So let's move on. And actually, I think let's take a look at Test Ninjas. I've been seeing this a lot on Reddit, and everybody's saying, "Oh, Test Ninjas." So, well, maybe that's going to be better. I did already kind of play with it a little bit, and I saw some problems, but here's my live impression. Okay, well, where's my test? In test early. Where's the test? Where's the test? Well, this isn't going well. Did I do something wrong? I'm logged in. I want my mock test. Begin test. Nothing. So this isn't good. All right. Well, we can just see random questions. Okay. This is fine. Honestly, doesn't look so bad for this vocab question. This looks kind of basic, but it's not terrible, like a super easy question. Sure, I mean, it's like, I think this is probably going to be A. Yeah. Super easy, because look how rapidly I can answer that, but all right. Okay. Consume, yeah, this is actually fine. Fine question. So far, decent, nothing that offensive to me. Okay, well, we're seeing this question again, so maybe I should look at, I'm going to just come down to, we'll just move through them piece by piece. Okay, steam engine stuff. Doesn't look terrible. Okay, so I'm actually, I'm just answering that randomly, obviously. Battle of Hastings. Yeah, as you can see, I can answer these pretty rapidly because Cameron. Yep. Main purpose is A. Yeah, so you can see how rapidly I can answer these, which isn't a good sign. Tipping point. Central idea, a passage about tipping point. I think it's probably A. I'm not sure. Yep. Wow. Well, if the SAT were really this easy, I wouldn't have much of a job, guys. All right, let's take a look at a different type of question that they've got here. Let's see their inferences. This is partially where people are getting weak. So we'll just actually read a full one and see how they did. Astronomers have found evidence of water on the surface of Mars, leading to speculation about the possibility of life on the red planet. However, surface temperature of Mars is too low for liquid water to remain stable. Despite this, the discovery suggests that yeah, I mean A, right? That's kind of direct, and it's kind of like the logic is way too simple that we're just like, this is like a restatement of the previous sentence, which is the most basic type of this question, right? Despite the fact that it's too low for liquid water to be stable, it could exist temporarily. Yeah. Yeah. And like we didn't even, yeah, so it has to be A. Okay. Basic, but fine. Harsh conditions, desert adapted species such as this one. Yep. So again, you can see that it's way too easy. Experienced a boom in agricultural delta. You know, something like A just stands out. It's too strong. You know, only in D, too obvious. Probably C. So you can see again, like how quickly I can run through these inferences, which are supposed to be actually the hardest group of questions on the digital SAT. I'm not having much of an issue with those, and it's not just because, I mean, even like a real SAT test should take a lot more for me to, you know, to deal with. These answer choices are not accurate to what would be featured on the digital SAT. It rarely puts like a corporation or like a noun like that. I wouldn't expect to see as an answer choice. This is probably legislation. Yeah, so this looks decent. Yeah, okay. This is actually a decent, easy to medium question. So there's some good stuff in here. This is way too long. Stretchers describe that expanded probably. I don't know. Anyway, let's move around. All in all, I'm not that against these questions. I would rate this like a probably B minus. Last one I would give like a D, just for the fact that it's the kind of format and the interface is so nice. Okay. No, SAT would never feature this combination down here. This doesn't make any sense, and it's never been on the SAT. This whole sugar's like a comma and then a semicolon. Never happened in the history of the SAT. So, bad answer. Not a terrible question. They should have changed that to like a dash or something rather than that comma and the semicolon. Okay, well, we're seeing the same answer. Let's see what they say. Let's see their explanation. Okay, they don't give explanations for the wrong answer choice, which is kind of weak, but whatever. The plant's leaves snap shut. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the best, but it's not terrible, I suppose. It's not. What? Oh, I got that wrong. That was just my own mistake, right? I didn't see that S. But yeah, this isn't a terrible question, and I don't know that it has ever been featured on digital SAT, but it's not bad. This is too easy. I mean, it's just an easy level. So closes tightly. Yeah, I mean, there's a mistake here because, like, I get, this underline is supposed to represent the totality of what's being added or removed. And so to put a semicolon here and then to say, oh, well, a comma would be next to it is really silly. Okay, this comma should not be here. It should be part of one of these answer choices, probably after A or something. Or like it should actually be after C. So this is silly. But I mean, fine. C, it's a fine answer. It's not that bad a question, but it's not great. This is way too easy. Again, there's this issue with this comma being outside of the blank here, which never happens on the SAT. That comma would be here in C, and so it's wrong in a way. So yeah. All right, let's move along. Let's talk about the form, structure, and since questions. And honestly, now that I'm seeing that they've categorized it this way, I'm realizing they've miscategorized a lot of those questions. Like that question about like the leave snap shut, that actually belongs to the form, structure, and since category. This question's wrong in the sense of like SAT would never do this. SAT would not feature different verbs here. It would say faced, facing, had faced, was, or something along those lines, right? And like, what? How? This question is terrible. Despite her remarkable achievements, Curie, did she face them? Or I guess, okay, she faced or overcame. I mean, no, this does not even, like, this is not even something that's tested on the SAT. Like the difference between these two verbs, this is so bad. Despite her remarkable achievements, Curie overcame many obstacles. Faced. I'm going to say faced. I mean, it's just, yeah. But can they explain why? I really want to know why they think overcame is like wrong. It is wrong, but like they're not getting into that. That's funny. Again, like you cannot mix different verbs together on answer choices on the digital SAT. It never happens, right? This would be on the real test. This would say has terminated or has been terminated, was terminated, terminating, will terminate. That would be a fine selection of answer choice, but you can't just mix in another verb. SAT will never do that. It is was terminated. Yeah, but Okay. No, I don't think SAT is going to be talking about Harry Potter. It's just too topical and kind of lowbrow for the SAT to be getting into, and it sets off some like content issues for like there are a lot of homeschooled like Christian kids who should not be exposed to witchcraft, and so they can't really even get into this kind of stuff, honestly. But it is what it is. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that C rating for this. Let's see. I got one more test up that I wanted to look at, and then I'll kind of save some other ones for a different series. But I'm not super happy at what I've been seeing right now. All right. I don't need instructions. This interface seems decent. Okay, yeah. I mean, wish I could make this a little bit larger, but whatever. Pave the way for new technologies. Yeah, okay, enabled. This isn't the worst. Troops, drolls. No, I don't believe, and I'd like to be proven wrong about this, but I don't believe that the digital SAT ever just gives you like a one-word answer like this. Whose idea? And then was it for the narrator to enter the barn? Are there any like? I'm actually gonna have to shift over into some of my practice tests if you guys don't mind, and I'm curious to look. We're gonna look at some official tests and see if there were any instances where. Somehow I lost my official test. That's okay, but I really don't think there are any instances where like the answer is just one word. It's typically like a string of words. But okay. All right. So Melody sat smiling. This is just like, oh, and by the way, this is from ScoreSmart. I didn't mention that. This is the ScoreSmart test. No, like digital SAT is never going to be about like a little narrative about just like, for these like grammar questions, they're all going to be based on like factual information and not just some little story that's like a little child wrote a story about her friend's day or something. Melody sat smiling. No. I guess the answer is supposed to be found here. Super easy to answer, not at the difficulty level of the technique of the SAT. Closer inspection reveals that Luce is painstaking. Image. Okay. Yeah, this is fine actually. This is actually a decent question. One small point. Okay, yet again, we have this like little story about someone's life. Never going to happen on the SAT. Who writes this stuff, I wonder? Ryan was disappointed to learn the ceremony had been scheduled. Our favorite. This never could happen on the digital SAT. One small point on the digital SAT, the comma is always in the answer choices, not after the blank like this when we're dealing with transition word questions. So that's a bad sign for the quality. Previously, fortunately, arguably, coincidentally, okay, SAT doesn't really get into this kind of, fortunately, coincidentally very much, or even arguably, like these transitions are not, I have a list somewhere. I wonder if I can pull it up briefly of all the transitions that they're using in the new digital SAT, and I don't think many, I doubt that like arguably or fortunately are on it, but okay. All right. Well, all in all, I will say that Test Ninjas is the winner of the test that we've looked at today. Doesn't mean very much, but yeah, I'm kind of sick of looking at these. I think I'll pull out some other, like this ScoreSmart again, like SAT is never writing grammar questions that are like so lyrical and literary as this. It's just like some poor content writer's bad poetry. I guess this is going to be D, but come on. These answer choices look way too long to me for this kind of rhetorical synthesis question, but the topic doesn't look too bad. All right, well, I've had fun with this so far. I may do another series where we go into different practice tests, but so far, yeah, I guess I'm going to give, I think I'm going to give A1 the D. This one I was just doing like maybe a D2, maybe even like a D minus, because the A1 at least had that great interface. And honestly, you know, they say that, what is it? There's some quote about geniuses steal, right? And A1, at least for their part, they kind of stole those paper-based questions and reformatted them, which means like the College Board doesn't actually make mistakes. So if you just steal directly from the College Board, at least you know that there aren't going to be issues. But like, I don't know why they felt the need to like change some of those questions, like that one about that they stole from the balloonist. Test Ninjas, yeah, decent. I mean, I guess they're the winner out of all of these. But still not very strong for the reasons that we described. All right, I'm going to stop for now, and maybe I'll pick up some other practice tests a little bit later, and we can trash those as well. All right, guys, take care.